Immigration Minister Alex Hawke has cancelled the visa of men's world number one Novak Djokovic. In a statement, the minister says he made the call on health and good order grounds and on the basis that it was in the public interest to do so. The Australian Open starts Monday.
Well, joining us now is former Immigration Department Secretary Abul Rizvi. Abul, did you expect this call from the Immigration Minister this evening?
No, frankly, I thought, and if I was in my old job, I would have been advising him not to go down this path. It is seriously a high wire act.
What does it mean that the visa is being cancelled on public interest grounds?
Right. So what the minister has done is use Section 133C of the Migration Act, which gives the minister a personal power to cancel a visa holder's visa if the minister considers that it is in the public interest to do so, and he can do that without giving the visa holder any natural justice. So that's what he's done. It's a very, very extreme power. I recall when it was developed, we only thought it would be used in the most extraordinary and rare circumstances where someone presented a very serious risk to the Australian population. I did not ever expect it to be used in these circumstances.
I'm fascinated by your call, Abul, that this is a high wire act that the government is undertaking here. What is the issue? I mean, does Djokovic have any right of appeal?
Yes, he can seek judicial review, which I imagine, because he must mandatorily be taken into detention now, so I assume he'll be taken back to that hotel that he was in, hotel detention centre that he was in earlier. His lawyers will be now lodging an appeal to the courts, and they will be seeking two things, I think. One, to argue the matter on legal grounds, but secondly, to ask the judge for permission for Mr. Djokovic to be released on a bridging visa to enable him to participate in the Australian Open. That's a decision the judge would need to make over the weekend.
There's also been talk of a 3-year ban for Djokovic. What are the chances of that?
Well, a 3-year ban applies, but Mr. Djokovic can apply to the government to ask for the ban to be waived on compelling and compassionate grounds. And I imagine if he wants to play in next year's Aussie Open, he may apply, and I suspect whoever is the minister would probably allow that.
They made this announcement at 6 p.m. on a Friday night, which, as we all know, is a classic political move if you want to kill a story over the weekend. How much of this decision do you think was political?
Oh, look, once the government was in this difficult, very difficult situation, and it got itself into this difficult situation itself by changing policy on how it dealt with medical exemptions provided by the state government. It changed policy between the 5th of January and the 6th of January. But having made such a dramatic change of policy, I think it felt it had to continue with the cards that it had played.
So just to be clear, Abul, you think that Djokovic can still play in the Australian Open if he can manage to convince yet another court that he should get this visa back?
Well, he would get a bridging visa, and he would probably get what's known as a bridging visa E, which does not normally carry work rights. Now, playing tennis, some people may regard that as not as work, but it is Mr. Djokovic's job. So they would need to consider those issues as well, whether he gets work rights with the bridging visa. But that is an issue the judge will consider. And if he considers there is merit in Mr. Djokovic's argument, it makes sense to release him on a bridging visa whilst the appeal is considered.
Sounds like it's not over yet. Thanks so much for your time, Abul.
You're welcome.
Rennae Stubbs is a former doubles world number one. She joins us now. Renee, what was your reaction when you heard the news this evening?
To be honest with you, I'm out here with another tennis player and a friend, and we were a little bit sort of dead feeling. I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest. It was kind of like, wow, they finally made a decision, and that's the decision they've gone with. So now we have to with it, and we're moving on from now.
Earlier this week, you were pretty adamant that this was a political decision. Do you still feel that way?
Look, I think there's no doubt in my mind that definitely is part of this. I mean, they probably were taking polls for the last 4 days to decide if, it was the right decision to get rid of him out of the country or let him stay. I'm sure that they were waffling back and forth throughout that. I also think that they were looking at the paperwork over the last few days and deciding if, some of the stuff that he had put down was a little dodgy or not. So I think they were going back and forth, and finally the decision was made, and now we've got to live with that.
Well, 6 p.m. Friday night drops of political stories is a classic political move if you want to kill a story, but I don't think this story will be killed. How do you think Novak will be feeling right now?
Lisa, I think he'd be very, very sad. I think he'd be probably a little bit angry, a bit bemused, unsure. I mean, you name it. I mean, I'm not in his head, so I would suspect that I have a feeling he'll still try and fight this at some point, because that's kind of the personality that he has. But at the same time, I'm sure he's very sad to not be participating and trying to win his 10th Australian Open.
And what does this mean for the Australian Open on Monday?
It means that we're going to have a new champion in the men's, and we haven't had that for a while. So, I mean, that's a guarantee, obviously, if he doesn't play. But I think that as far as the Australian Open is concerned, this is a definite, very, very, very strange situation and moment in the history of the tournament.
Well, as you said, he was gunning for his 10th Australian Open and 21st Grand Slam. Now that he's potentially out, how do you reckon the other players are feeling?
I think his opponent in the first round will be pumped. I mean, come on. I mean, this guy's unbeatable at the Australian Open. So I would say that his young Serbian opponent will probably be a little bit strange, because I'm sure he admires and respects Novak so much. But I'm sure he'd be really happy about not having to play him in the first round. And look, it opens the draw up a tremendous amount now for somebody else to win this tournament for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the fight on Monday, that's for sure. Renee, we just have to thank you so much. We can see that you've obviously pulled over to the side of the road, given that this story only broke about an hour ago.
She might just be quarantining.
Yeah. I think we've interrupted your camping trip, have we?
No, I'm out in Dalesford. I was having dinner. I got into the car. I've got no air conditioning. And I'm telling you what, I'm sweating like I'm menopausal, which is also possible.
Thank you so much for suffering for us, Renee.
You're welcome.
Take care. Well, now we are hearing that Djokovic has been asked to present himself for an interview with immigration officials tomorrow. That's Saturday. And it's being reported that at this stage, he will stay where he is until that interview happens.
Wait, so not at the Park Hotel? Where is he right now?
No, he's left there. He's gone out, I think, into a private home or whatever the Airbnb was that he was moving into originally.
Oh.
So, and that's what's allowed him to go to Rod Laver Arena and practice for the last few days.
So he gets to have fancy detention, not with the other refugees at the Park Hotel.
Indeed. There'd be refugees sitting at that Park Hotel who've been there for, close to a decade, just watching this in dismay, as probably so many other people in Australia are at the moment.